Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. It is time to update one of my favorite projects on my channel. It is of course an eyeshadow project, and as you can see from the title, it is Pan Those Eyeshadows. This project was created years and years ago by Alexi, and I will have her link down below, although she doesn't post anymore, which is a bit of a shame because she used to do such amazing videos, and I still go back and rewatch her series every now and then just because it is so inspiring and I really love it. And I do assume basically everyone watching this video is not new to this project, so I'm not going to go on about the rules too long, but the ultimate goal in this project is of course, like the title suggests, to pan your eyeshadows, to hit pan on your eyeshadows. Everyone does it a little bit differently. I work on 4 shadows, whereas I'm working off of Laney's prompt, so we'll have Laney linked down below as well. She doesn't post either, which is also a shame because I used to love her channel and her indie content, but alas. So I'm going to jump into the video, but before I do that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So like I said, I work with 4 shadows every single month, and I have them on obviously a rolling basis. Whenever I hit pan or my 20 use goal, I get to roll something out and roll something new in. And I always start off with the shadow that has been in the longest. And this right here is the shade Very Perry from the Pastel Roses, which I rolled in for the prompt Reminds You of Spring. It's a really beautiful kind of lavender, obviously somewhat like periwinkle shade, although I would definitely say it's more lavender than periwinkle, shadow with a golden shift that goes into more of a violet shift at an angle. It's a super pretty shade, and like I said, it of course reminds me of spring, and it's a very spring tone type of shadow. And I reached for this one 6 times the first month it was in the project, and then I continued reaching for it, and I had reached for it 4 additional times leading up to last update, so it was sitting at 10 uses. I said last month that I would ideally try to have this one out, which would mean 10 more uses, but unfortunately it's actually one that I have not reached for very much at all. It's my most neglected shadow in this past month because I only reached for 2 additional times, so this is where it's sitting today. I only have 12 uses on it, so I'm still a little bit away from my 20 use goal, and I don't think I will hit pan anytime soon either. I might be able to hit pan within those 20 uses, but we just kind of have to see. It's a little bit of a shame that I didn't hit my goal on this one. I tried to hit goal on all my shadows within the 3-month mark, but some of them linger for longer, and this is one of them. I just feel like it hasn't really gone with other type of looks that I've been doing recently, and I've been panning other purples too, which means that this one has been kind of, I don't know, neglected a little bit. I've been choosing those other purples instead. But yeah, this is a swatch of it. It's a really stunning shade, as you can see. You can maybe see that like purple to gold shift, but when I see it, it has a bit more kind of green and almost violet at an angle, but it is almost more duochrome rather than a multichrome, even though there is a few more shifts, but it's a bit more subtle. But it's a stunning shadow nonetheless, and I'm hoping that I will definitely hit my goal on this one by next month. And next month will be the finale for this project, so if I don't, it's going to roll out nevertheless. But yeah, if I can hit pan on this one, that would be amazing, and otherwise if I can hit my 20 use goal, that would be ideal. This is actually one of the shadows that I have put into try to hit my goal on in my year usage project Pan. If you're not following that project, it's basically a project where you try to use your shadows the same amount of time as the year you're in. So this year it would be 25, and I am focusing on my single shadows. So this one is one of the ones I'm trying to hit my usage goal on, and obviously that would be 25 uses before the end of the year. So considering that, I definitely think I'll be able to hit my 20 use goal in this project in the next month, and then I might even surpass that and hopefully hit pan with those 25 uses. So that is the first shadow, and it is staying in. The second shadow has also been in for 3 months now, and this right here is from the Cleona Deep Sea Treasures palette, and it is the shade Ring of Fire, which I rolled in for red shimmer. It is a really stunning red shimmer, of course, as the prompt would suggest, but it's also a multichrome shade, and it is one of Cleona's kind of multichrome shadows. It's not from the stained glass collection because it is from the palette, but it is kind of the same formula as the stained glass collection. So again, a really stunning multichrome. First month it was in the project, I reached for it 6 times, and I have been trying to incorporate this one more and more. It is again a really stunning shade. It has like a red base, and then like a pinky red shifts right on, going into an orangey red shift to an orange to a gold to almost a green at a harsh angle. So it's a very shifty shadow, and it's been fun to play with. The second month it was in the project, I reached for it 8 additional times, so I was sitting at 14 uses at the last update, and this is obviously what it looks like then. I have really been trying to hit my usage goal on this one too. This is another one that I was trying to hit my goal on, obviously because it is the 3rd month is in the project, so I was focusing on this one quite a lot, and I'm happy to say that I have reached my additional additional 6 uses on this one, so I now hit my 20 use goal. But you can barely tell from the pan. I mean, there's a little bit of disturbance, a slight dip, but these shadows are so pigmented and so firmly pressed that you don't really need much, and they're just very, very impactful. So yeah, it is of course rolling out, and there's obviously no pan in sight. So yeah, this is the shadow right here, and hopefully you can see that there is like a little bit of a dip where I put my brush on my finger, but again, very far away from pan. You can see that kind of pinkier shift there, and then like it's not a pink shift, but it's like a pinky red shift going into more of an orange to a gold. I don't think you can pick up the green, but you can see how shifted that is right there, and that is the swatch of it. Again, you can see more of that kind of pinkier red. I don't know if you can pick up any of the shifts, but a super stunning shadow, and it's also what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing it on like my inner lid today for the last time, so this is my last use. I used this one in my look that I did yesterday, and then today I knew that I was very close, so I made sure to incorporate it into a lot of looks this week. And yeah, this is the final look with the shadow, and I have hit my 20 use goal. So again, this one will be rolling out, but unfortunately no pan, and I expected anyway when I rolled this one in. I knew when I rolled it in, just from my experience with clear eyeshadows, that I would not hit pan on it within 20 uses, and you know, I was right, and I is still very far away. I think this one would take me like up towards 40 to 60 uses to hit pan on, honestly, unless I start digging into it, because again, it's just so pigmented, and especially this one is quite like a chunky shadow, and sometimes those shadows are quite easy to hit pan on because they kind of flake away in the pan. But again, it's just something about the formula in clear eyeshadows that are just so kind of like, it's just so firmly pressed in there that even though it is chunky, and like not chunky in like a glittery kind of way, but just like very sparkly, and the particle size is a little bit larger, it's like they lay so compact in there that it doesn't move quickly, even though it is a chunky shadow. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, it will be rolling out, so let's move on to the next shadow. And the next shadow, along with the last one, were both rolled in last month, and we're gonna kick it off with something from this palette right here. I'm trying to think of what I rolled this one in for. And I rolled this in for Shadow from Your Favorite Palette, and this here is one of my favorite palettes of a collection, and I hadn't reached for it this year yet, so I wanted to include it, and it's also obviously a Christmas palette, and so it was a perfect palette to roll in this time of year. So I decided to go with this shadow that you're looking at right now called Just Now. I could go with any shade in the palette, but the reason why I went with this one is because I'm actually panning a green in a different project, so I wanted to put this one in to have a transition shade for that color. I'm actually wearing both of them today, so you can see when I go back to what it looks like. But it is this really beautiful kind of light green. It's like a neutral green. I wouldn't say it's super warm nor super cool, so it's a very kind of easy to incorporate green, and it's been working really nicely with that other green that I'm panning. This is what it looks like today, and I have reached for it 8 times in the past month, and you really can't tell. Like, there is a slight dip in some angles, but honestly not much, and this is such a firm pressed eyeshadow that you don't need much, and since I'm using a fluffy brush as well, it just doesn't move very quickly. So this one is definitely going to stay in until the 20 uses, I reckon, and no pan if I do hit those 20 uses before the finale. So again, that is the shadow right there, and I don't know if you can see the slight dip maybe at some angles, I don't know, but there is like a slight dip, but honestly not much at all. There's some red sparkles in it after I swatched it, but no, yeah, not much movement in this one at all, but I expected that one when I rolled this in as well. But it's been working really nicely with that green. Again, I'm wearing those today, so I'm wearing that darker green kind of on my outer corner, and actually as a base for the shimmers as well, and then I'm wearing that like this shade right here on my outer corner to blend that green. I'm wearing something else on my crease in my inner corner, but yeah, I'm wearing it today, and it's a really stunning shade, and it's been working perfectly with what I needed it for, which is really good, because yeah, I was very happy when I rolled this one in. But it's of course going to stay in, and I don't know if I'm going to hit 12 more uses before the finale, but whatever more use I can get on this shadow will be amazing, but it will stay in of course until the finale. And then the final shadow that I rolled in for the prompt Something You Want to Pan, so I decided to go with this iridescent right here, which is actually one of my favorite shadows from Terra Moons. Is the shade Atlas, which is a really stunning, again, iridescent shade. It's just a really sparkling shifty shadow, but it's kind of like a neutral-ish tone. Like, of course it does have some color to it. It has like a greenish kind of turquoisey shift straight on, going into more of a blue and then into a purple and a violet. So again, it is colorful, but just the way the shifts are, it just looks very icy and beautiful on the inner corner wherever you decide to use it. I have reached for it a lot in the past month, and this is what it looks like today. So as you can see, I was actually able to hit pan on the shadow, which is very, very exciting. It took me 14 uses to hit pan on it, but I have actually reached for it 2 additional times since then, so I'm currently sitting at 16 uses. Very, very excited for this shadow because I was able to hit pan on it. So we do have 1 pan this update, which is of course extremely exciting, and especially on a single shadow, because I don't hit pan on these like single shadows very often because they have a lot of product in them. But yeah, I already had a lot of use on this one prior to rolling it in, and I'm happy that I have now hit pan. It is again a really, really stunning shade. I love this one, and you can see kind of hopefully what I mean there on camera. It just is like this kind of icy shadow, obviously without the base, but then when I look at it now, it goes from a green into, or like a mint, I would say, maybe not a green, but like a mint into a blue into a violet. So it is shifty, but it's also very wearable, and it's been going with a lot of different looks. It's been going perfectly with this kind of greenish look that I've been doing. It's also been going well with neutrals, and that is why I was able to reach for it 16 times just in 1 month. So of course it is going to roll out, but it's another shadow that I'm going to continue working on, and I do want to hit my 25 use on this one before the end of the year, so hopefully I can get that pan expanded before then. But that is the last shadow for this update, and we're going to go ahead and roll in 2 new shadows. One for the Ring of Fire shade, this one here is rolling out, and then also of course Atlas, which I just talked about. So those 2 shades are going to roll out, and we're going to keep in Very Perry and Just Now. So let me go ahead and pull up the wheel of my prompts, and I'm going to go ahead and roll those 2 new prompts. So I have my wheel right here, and I'm going to go ahead and roll the 2 prompts to see what I get. Obviously the ones I had already is blacked out. The first prompt we're going to get is shadow from your favorite palette. Okay, I just had that. I might pick a different favorite palette, or I might pick another one from that palette because I do love it. We'll see, I'll decide later. But that's going to be the first prompt, and then the second prompt is going to be shadow from your least favorite palette. Okay, so let me go ahead and pick those out, and as soon as I've chosen my shadows, I will be right back. So I'm back and I have chosen my new shadows, and this is what my new color story looks like. Very kind of light, but I'm very excited for this one. This is my old one, and I'm gonna go through the shades. So again, we have Very Perry on top, that's staying in, same as Just Now right here from the Old and Side palette. This is from the Pastel Roses, and then we're gonna talk about this one next. So I did roll something from your favorite palette, and of course I already have that prompt in for Just Now, and I decided to actually go ahead and pick the same palette again just for simply this day, because I don't want to have too many palettes out at the end of the year. I feel like it's just overwhelming me, and I want to play as well, so I want to have some palettes I can play with in my kind of everyday drawers. So picking another shade from this palette I think is really going to benefit me. So in here, I was originally going to go with this silver here called Snowflake. I actually swatched this one out and I was going to go with this one. However, I decided to change my mind just because I have a lot of shades that I'm panning have like cool tone shifts to them, especially in my BYOP. So I decided to switch it up to go with something that is slightly more warm toned. So I went with the shade Snowlight right here. So Snowlight, like you can see right here, has a little bit of use but nothing too much. And this one is such an interesting shadow because even though it is like a gold, it is more of a cool toned gold, if that exists. It has almost like a cool toned base to it, and then that gold shift running through it, even though it's just very unique. So I feel like this will go with both warm toned and cool tone looks, and it's a very, again, unique shadow, and I feel like it's going to be good for like every day. So that is why I decided to go with Snowlight. And yeah, you can see it right there in the pan, and then again I have swatched it out right there, so hopefully you can see like it's just like a very kind of almost white gold type of shade. It's definitely gold, but it's more of a cool tone type of gold. So very excited for that shadow, and yeah, I'm excited to just have this one palette as well, and not overwhelm myself. So this is what I'm gonna keep in for favorite palette, and I'm now working on Just Now and Snowlight. And then when it came to my least favorite palette, this was really, really difficult to pick because I feel like I'm now at a point with my collection where I don't really dislike anything. There's not really much in my collection that I feel like I don't love anymore. Some of them are still on the chopping block, and I will have a video up actually during Vlogmas with palettes on the chopping block, and this one is on there. And the reason this one is like the least favorite, it's not my least favorite palette because I do really love it still. I just have not used it much at all since I got it into my collection, and that's why I picked it. I still think it's a beautiful palette, and I really want to get more use out of it as well. But yeah, I'm just going to show you what it is, and that is the Hella palette from Old and Side. This is not an Old and Side palette, but Again, I don't dislike this palette. I actually really love it, but again, I had to pick something, and nothing in my collection is like my least favorite anymore. I just had to pick something that I'm kind of neglecting, and that is this palette. So I decided to go with my favorite shade in the palette, which is a double-sided right down here. It is an iridescent shade, so it is a really kind of easy one again to incorporate. I can use this one on my inner corner, and then also with this as a topper. I would say it has a little bit of a base, like almost like a grayish, greenish base, and then it has that orange kind of flip straight on going into a green, yeah, like a green, which always has since that base. So it is a little bit more kind of pigmented and has more of a base than regular iridescence, I would say, especially like comparing it to, for example, Atlas. But that is the swatch of it right there, and you can see it has that like orange sheen and that kind of grayish, greenish base, hopefully. And then when I'm looking at it, it goes into like a gold and then a green. But yeah, very excited to reach for that one, and I'm so excited to finally be able to work on one of the shades in this palette, and hopefully pan on it. I think I should be able to hopefully pan on this one in a month, but we'll just kind of have to see. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. So those are going to be my new shadows, and that is my color story right there. I only have 1 month left to work on these ones before the finale, and I do think I'm going to try to hit my usage goal on Very Perry. Just now I'm just going to use as much as I can. I don't think I'm going to reach for it 12 more times, but we'll see. And then I think actually with both of the new roll-ins, there is a chance that I can pan on them in a month, because they're easy for me, kind of everyday shadows, but I can also incorporate them into colorful looks, I think, and both of these are versatile in that sense. So I can probably get a lot of use out of those, and hopefully that means that I can maybe hit pan on at least one of them before the finale. So that is actually going to be it for my update today. I really hope you enjoyed it. I am super excited to almost wrap up another year of this project. I will of course bring it back next year. I am going to post also on Vlogmas actually a video about which project I want to bring back next year, and spoiler alert, this is going to be on it, but I might do some changes, so you can stay tuned for that video if you want to see what I'm planning to change, and also if you want to give your input to it. But I hope you guys are having the best day wherever you are, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye guys.